I'm Jordan McCool, and it's time to ask the attorney your question. I'm here with Attorney John Haymond from the Haymond Law Firm. Hi, John. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
So today's question comes from Jason. I was rear-ended by a moving company truck, and the company driver was arrested for drunk driving. Is his employer responsible for the collision?
Clearly, the driver of the vehicle is responsible for causing this accident. And the good news is the fact that if it's an interstate truck, then there's a absolute minimum of $750,000 of liability insurance, if not more, depending upon the load. So it sounds to me like there's going to be plenty of insurance to cover the damages in this particular situation. However, the question is the employer also responsible, independent of the driver? And that truly depends. It depends upon, number one, whether or not they did a background check on the driver, because if there was a series of drunken driving arrests or a history of drunken driving, they can be held culpable. In addition to that, if they knew or should have known that stopping and having a drink was part of that driver's regular routine, then they can be held responsible. As a general rule, the employer is to be held legally responsible for the negligent acts of his or her employees. On the other hand, if the employee acts outside the scope of his employment, in other words, they're not permitted to do something, and notwithstanding they violate the rules of employment, then the employer is not to be held legally responsible.
So what you're saying, just for clarification, is that it really depends on the employee's contract with the employer, so the employer might not be held responsible.
Well, certainly if there was a clause that said there's to be no drinking or drugs on the job, clearly, unequivocally, the employer is not to be held responsible. But there are other factors that we would look into in addition to that, which may or may not hold the employer responsible.
Okay, well, thank you for your insight and advice on this case. And to ask the attorney your question, you can call 1-800-HAYMOND, or you can email asktheattorney@haymondlaw.com.